So then, come to find out, I think it was the next day, the state is like, so of course they go through this whole thing about a stolen, what was it? No. Now they're at the point where they're going over traffic stops where Young Thug is found. So now they're really getting into the crimes that they're saying Young Thug is actually part of. So they are like, Young Thug got pulled over with Gunna one time. I think it was Gunna and then one other person in the back seat. But it was one other person in the back seat. They found gun, drugs, and money in the car. But they're saying that most of the stuff was in the back seat next to the guy in the back seat who wasn't Gunna or Thug, but it was next to the guy in the back seat. And they're like, pretty much the state is saying like these drugs and gun was in the car, was registered to Mr. Williams, which is Jeffrey Williams, Young Thug. All three of them were in the car, but all three of them could have gotten access to all of these items if they wanted to. So then my man, the silent killer, comes up on cross-examination, Keith Adams, and Keith Adams just tear his whole argument up. It was a cop, police officer. He just tore it down. I'm telling y'all, if you see every single time in this case that a supposed witness or somebody who was at the scene of a crime comes up there, like not the victim, but if the witness comes, Keith Adams is coming up there to cross-examine every single time. I don't know if that's I never heard of that being a specialty, but I guess it might be because this is the first time I've ever seen this. Keith Adams specializes in cross-examining witnesses to crimes. So, and when I say specialize in, I mean he goes up there, the way that he questions these people, it makes it seem like you didn't see anything. When this same exact witness is talking to the state, you would have thought that he was riding in the car with them. Keith Adams comes up and he makes it seem like you weren't even in the same country when this crime was happening. Keith Adams is cold-blooded. If I get a chance to interview somebody like him too, I'm going to take that interview because I need to find out how do they title you? What's your title at that law firm? Are you just like the silent killer? Because he's very calm and cool and smooth and all that. And if you don't want to answer a question, even, some people have an issue, and I noticed this, when, let's say the state objects to them, and he says, you can't ask a question like that or reword the question. A lot of these attorneys are having a hard time coming up with another way to ask the questions that's being objected to, right? Keith Adams has no problem rewording it to get the exact same answer that he was trying to get the first time. That's why I think whatever it is with him, he's sharp, he's super sharp. So these cops is getting up there like they had this, and so Keith Adams is like, where was the bag with the drugs? Where's it located? He's like, it was in the middle of the back seat. He's like, so you telling me that everybody in that car could reach the back seat floor faster than that man in the back seat? And the cop is like, yeah. So, and now it sounds like light the way I'm saying it, but when it was in real time, when he was asking him these questions, it just made it seem like he was trying to force a story. Honestly, it made it seem like he was trying to force it to say everybody could reach this. The drugs were in the back seat of a Maybach in a center console. So it's literally like I'm sitting in the back seat. My armrest is where these drugs is at. And you telling me that Young Thug as the driver could get to these drugs better than I could. That's what that cop sat on the stand and said to Keith Adams when he was asking me questions. So like I said, Keith Adams just make you look like a liar. Also, this is a small detail, but it also goes to the fact that the cop who was there doesn't even remember what happened. Keith Adams said, when you were just talking to the state, you told him you walked up to the car and you knocked on the rear passenger window and it rolled down. That was the first window that rolled down. He's like, is that what you just said to the state? He said, yes, I said that. That's what happened. He said, are you sure that's what happened? So it wasn't the front window that got rolled down. He was like, no, it wasn't. He said, are you sure you don't want to refer to your report? So then the cop looks at his report. He was like, oh, I guess it was that window. Like I said, Keith Adams makes it like you weren't even there. You were the arresting officer in this situation. You pulled them over. And the way Keith Adams is questioning you makes it seem like you weren't there at all because he's just going to make you look like a liar. Also, because sometimes also these attorneys will ask a question they know is going to be objected to, but it's just enough to throw it out there so that the jury can hear it. He pretty much is saying that you only pulled them over because they were black in a Maybach. he threw it out there. So he said, so you telling me you didn't pull him over because it was a black man driving a Maybach? And the state, hey, objection, like it got loud for a second. He said, no further questions, Jerry. He walked off. I'm like, that was some real movie shit right there. That's what they do on like Law and Order. Just ask some crazy question and just walk off like that. Keith Adams, he's a slickster. So that, excuse me, that was a 2017 traffic stop. Now they spent a while after that arguing about this 2018 traffic stop. This 2018, no, they spent a couple hours. It was like a good, like a mental spar back and forth. This 2018 traffic stop. Now, first of all, now the state has just introduced a new prosecutor to the table, a younger, like maybe I would say late 30s, early 40s white man. And he seemed like he was like, to me, he seemed like he was like, this was his first criminal case or something like that. Attorney Love is sitting there having to tell this man everything to say to argue back with the defense lawyer that he's arguing with. Excuse me. And they are serving him. So he's arguing this. There was a 2018 traffic stop, right? Where Young Thug is in a vehicle and then there's another vehicle behind him. Both of those cars get pulled over together. The vehicle behind has like a bunch of guns in it, a bunch of high powered guns that they shouldn't have, right? So the state is pretty much saying when you have this cop come up, Detective Belknap come up, or I can't remember his name, but you have this cop come up here to tell you about this incident in 2018. You cannot have him tell the jury about what he found in that car behind Young Thug's car. First of all, there was 4 people in the car behind Young Thug. None of them are in this case. None of them are purported to be part of YSL. And then when the judge asked who were the people in that car, the prosecutor didn't even know. He said, "Oh, a judge." So, and now this is the thing. Judge said, "Who was in that car?" He said, he started looking around. He said, then Attorney Love had to show him her phone of her saying, "I'll get you the names." And then the white dude says, "Judge, I'll get those names for you." And then they having to research it and find out the names. That he's like, "Oh, I got the names now," and started reading these names off. None of these people are related to this case at all. So you're about to introduce all these guns and all this stuff that you found on people, 4 people, none YSL, none in this case. But you're about to somehow use that and give that information to the jury in this case where these people fighting for their life for what? You're about to confuse this whole thing. So they had this argument back and forth about that. Young Thug's defense teams, they smashed. They blew it out the water. The judge agreed with them. They said there's no way that you can introduce that. The state is trying to argue, hey, we should be able to introduce everything that's connected because we're trying to make our case here that this is all part of some overall conspiracy. And Young Thug rapped a line about having snipers behind him and all that. So they're trying to say that when he rapped about having snipers behind him, the people in that car were the snipers, that like he referenced it in the song. So we should be able to use that for this traffic stop. The judge is like, no, all of these testimonies that y'all have given, all of the witnesses that y'all had testify so far, not a single one of them have made any connection to that traffic stop with that car behind Young Thug to this case at all. There's no connection. Y'all haven't made a connection. There's no foundation for that. I'm not allowing it. So the judge said, no, try again. But the judge kept on leaving it open, though. He said it's not admissible yet. He kept on saying that. He kept making it a point to say, I'm not going to allow it yet. Like, we can't have it right now. I'm just not going to allow it right now. So he was still kind of like leaning his bias a little bit that way, but it was such an egregious argument that he couldn't allow that. That was just dumb. Like, why you didn't even know who those people were, but you was about to try to put that in this case. How? So blew that one out the water. Now, if you are a fan of debates, like I'm a fan of debates, this is the perfect criminal case for you, because these arguments that they have been having without the jury in the room have been just a great back and forth, great debate stuff going on, honestly, because they're arguing case law. They're just really testing each other's ability to argue stuff. So again, the defense, they blew that one out the water. I don't know what that white lawyer's name is, the white prosecutor, but they need to put him back in diapers, man. Get him out of here. He can't argue. Attorney Love had to give him everything. He didn't know nothing. She was literally telling him what to say as he's talking to the judge. She's sitting down, feeding this dude information, feeding him sentences to say. How is he up here?